Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Fannin's Flashbacks, the podcast that nobody asked for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This podcast is going to cover tales from IWA Mid-South during my 12 years with the company, and it will be a part of the BNMVS Podcast Network. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only due to the foul language and graphic details about deathmatch wrestling that it will contain. This will be your backstage pass to get a peek behind the curtain at what led to the downfall of the craziest independent wrestling promotion of the late 1990s, early 2000s. And without any further ado, Nick Manawa, hit the music.
Okay, was BB Walls actually pregnant?
Dude, I have no idea.
When did you hear that story? When did that first, like, was that a rumor in the locker room that week, or like what?
When did I hear it?
Yeah, like, was that like years later, or like when did you become aware of the rumor?
Last week.
Oh, okay, because that was a whole that's some urban legend shit.
Somebody posted there was like the clip that got posted last week on Twitter by somebody, and it was somebody that I followed, and they posted, and they were like, "Holy shit, Mickey's beating the fuck out of this girl," and then like one of the comments was, "And she was pregnant," and I was like, "What?" It was the first I had heard of it.
Okay,
It was
I get that's some message board urban legend shit from that was just created out of nowhere.
What? When did that match happen?
That was Queen of the Death 06. So I think that was like this in the year of 2006.
Yeah, so 2006. Again, that was in the beginning phases of my I don't give a fuck, and I remember the name BB Walls, but I could not.
It was 07.
07. So even worse, even farther into the time frame. So it was a name that I remembered. It was a name that I remembered Mickey beat the shit out of for some reason.
Yeah.
And literally last week was the first I heard that she was pregnant during the match.
I don't know where that story came from. I didn't know if you knew anything about that. The first Queen of the Death, I know you're gonna be like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. I don't know if you were even there, the first Queen of the Death in November of 06, but they brought in Mayumi Ozaki, very fucking famous Japanese women's wrestler, one of her few appearances in America. Not ringing a bell, I'm guessing. Okay, yeah, I didn't think so, but I wanted to ask because it was just such a random thing that she ended up being brought in for that show. And it was just
as soon as you said Queen of the Death, if you could have given me 20 guesses as to what you were going to ask about, and I would not have said that. So,
speaking of Queen of the Death, what was the name of the methadone clinic where Ian would find the girls to work the tournament? Do you remember that, or like?
Literally,
Misty Heat.
Literally, a lot of it was girls saying they would do it and then changing their mind. And so then it was, who the fuck is here that we could get to do it? So there was, I think,
it's Sexy Eddie in one of the tournaments.
I think there was Glasses Jones a participant?
Yes, yeah, that was the Mike Levy tournament. Glasses Jones.
She was like a trainee. Might have been training with like the Tomasellis. She was a sweet girl. I knew her from like the Northern Illinois shows, and she would hang around. She was like really good. She was really good friends with the girl that like has raised a ton of money for suicide prevention, that was friends with Larry Sweeney. And so after Larry Sweeney passed away and had committed suicide, their girl, her name's like Karen Vanda something, and she's like raised a ton of money for for suicide prevention in Larry Sweeney's name after that happened. And one of her best friends was this girl. Damn it, I wish I could. It's been so long since I've talked to her. Like her name was like Julie or something. And she might not have even been training. She was just somebody that like had done and she said, I'll do it. And then she goes out there and gets her brains beat in. Manawa's woman almost ended up doing it at one point.
Oh shit! Okay, I just recently learned about that girl.
So I mean, it was literally it would just be going around and who do we do? So let's put sexy Eddie in there. That's how
was the sole intention behind those tournaments just like for something for Mickey to do?
Something for Mickey to do. Like Mickey wanted to do it, and Ian was always like sexist and didn't want her in
a little bit.
Didn't want her to do it like, didn't want her fighting the men. And
unless he was fucking swinging that shit himself,
right? Unless he was beating the fuck out of her with the water jug, he didn't want anybody else, he didn't want anybody else doing it. So it was if you want to do this, I'll try to do this for you. And he would try to find the women to bring in, and like say they just you'd book it and then they wouldn't show up. Or they'd get there and be like, yeah, no, that's more than I've changed my mind. And then you're sitting there stuck trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do? And so you end up with contestants that you shouldn't have.
What was the most disappointing experience in terms of like a big name that IWA brought in, and like you had an expectation of this guy's going to be cool, and then he was just like kind of a dickhead? Or like, is there a name that comes to mind?
That happened. That definitely happened. The one that stands out the most to me, and I mean he has a reason, but for me, Bobby Heenan will always be that for me. The religious friend I had mentioned earlier, that was a childhood friend of mine, and he was like real religious.
Yeah, you told the story about
maybe almost
the
as religious,
or leaving the wedding.
Right. I left I stayed for his wedding, but then I only stayed for the reception for like 20 minutes, and then bolted so I could go meet Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
He hasn't spoken to me since. He's so mad that I left.
That's brutal.
And he was like my second best friend for like 15 years at that point. And he hasn't spoken to me since.
But man, like I feel like I've heard you mention that multiple times, and I feel like you blame yourself too much for that. Like, if I don't know shit about this person, but like you can't. I feel like you blame yourself for all of that, and like he's the one who made the decision not to talk to you. Whatever the deal was, like you're not a bad person for doing what you did. He should have understood. Okay, never mind. I'll drop it. But
yeah. But that was the most disappointing, because then I get to the show and
sorry,
I Heenan, didn't want to be there. He was in pain. He was miserable, and then he didn't want to do any of the stuff that I thought I would at least get to call a match with him or do something. And he didn't want to do anything, and it broke my heart that because he was my hero. Heenan family, Fannin family. That was dickhead on commentary, manage, sometime wrestle. That's what I patterned myself after. And he was the greatest.
Good wrestler too.
He was the greatest to ever do it. So I'm not going to even put myself in his camp, but that's who. I tried not to rip anybody completely off, but out of everybody that I took stuff from, Heenan was who I took from the most. And to to have read, and I had just read his second book. I think did he write 2 books? I think he might have wrote 2 books.
Yeah. See, I think he did, but I wasn't a big fan of the one book that it was such a very edited down and watered. I wasn't
Well,
a
it
huge
was
fan.
like the second book. I think it was the second book that came out, and it was after he was diagnosed, and he was
Yeah.
like, and in the book, he's like talking about how he's looking forward to being on shows like what ours was, and working with the younger guys and passing
Oh,
on the
so
knowledge
you
and
read
helping
that,
them out.
and you were
And
expecting
I
that.
read that, and I was like,
Yeah.
that this is what I want. And then that was not what I got. What he got, and I mean, if I'm dying of cancer, I'm a dick to begin with. So if you come across me and I'm dying of cancer, I'm going to be an even worse dick. So I
And with
can't.
the shit that he had, where they took his jaw off, and like he lived for another 8 years,
Yeah,
and you're like a ghost. You're like walking around like a
yeah.
ghost to them. It's horrible, man. Fucking terrible. Um, what? Okay, another to move along. Ed Schumann. What did you think of Ed Schumann and his involvement with IWA?
Um, Ed helped us out. Um, we wouldn't have had any insurance on shows if it wasn't for Ed. Um, Ed, like I say, Ed helped us out, and he was
He was Ed Schumann.
he was Ed Schumann.
All right, you
I
don't gotta
didn't,
talk too much
I
about it.
did
I know he's not alive anymore, but I
one
just
of
didn't know.
he never did anything wrong to me, but
Cool. Gosh.
I was an ass though, because as I've mentioned, I did not like other groups coming in
Yeah.
and winning against IWA. So the I did not treat Ed as well as I should have, just because of that. Just because his first initial was different. It was an N instead of an I, and to me, at that point in my life, to me that was there was only 3 letters that mattered, and anything else I wanted nothing to do with. And then there started to be the offshoots where the first 3 letters were the same, but then the word after it was wrong. And so then I changed it to where, okay, well, now it's the 3 letters in the Mid South that mean everything, and to hell with everything else. And it was a stupid attitude to have, but it was what I was. So I treated Ed much worse than what I should have, for all the good that he did for us and help that he gave us. I should have had at least shown more. I respected him, but I didn't show that I
Yeah.
respected him.
Yeah.
And now that I'm at where I'm at in my life, I look back at it, and I'm ashamed of of the way I behaved that way, and I wish that he was still alive to where he could like be here to hear me say that I should have treated him better. But
Yeah.
I realize that I
He
was
was one of the good ones. He was one of the good guys.
he was one of the good guys, but I didn't want to see that at the time.
Okay. Random name, Shaq Daddy. Do you remember Shaq Daddy? One
I
of the
remember
ring crew. I believe he rented the ring for
I
stuff, and then
remember
he
Shaq
ended up
Daddy.
getting trained.
I still talk to Shaq Daddy. I've got him on my Snapchat. I've got him on Facebook. He'll send me photos to show me that he's listening to the podcast. And he'll be in the car and take a picture and show me that he's listening. And great guy, um, horrible wrestler, but a great
Dude,
guy.
I was watching the Delilah Star benefit, the marathon, July 4th of '03. He goes and I think it was a leg drop on a guy, and he like I don't know if he broke his sternum, but he it seemed like he was about to shit his pants trying to get out of the ring. It was holy fuck.
So he literally just sent me that clip last week. And
I probably posted it on I'm sure I posted it on Twitter.
He sent me that clip, and he was like, I really sucked. And I had to tell him, I did match that we already mentioned and talked about, the Dark Mark match against me and Ryan Boz against Road Dogg and Trick Davis, or as Road Dogg called him, Bones Malone. He was not Trick Davis in that match. He was Bones Malone. But in that match, we're supposed to do a spot. Road Dogg is pinning Ryan Boz. I am supposed to run across the ring, try to break it up, go for an elbow drop. Road Dogg's supposed to move. I'm supposed to elbow drop Ryan Boz. That's what's supposed to happen.
What happened?
Here's what happened. And Patty, God bless her, she's about to piss her pants right now as she's listening to this. When
you need her on the podcast. That's who you need on the fucking podcast.
It's one of the things.
All right, that I've got. Throwing that out there.
It's one of the things I've thought about, and a lot of people have asked for it. So,
nobody else could fucking get the story. She has stories that have never.
Right.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah, Patty's cool. Patty's cool as fuck.
Okay,
moving along.
But right now, wherever she listens. So when she gets to this point, wherever she's at, 10 seconds. We've given her like 10 seconds to hear the build up. She is about ready to piss her pants laughing, knowing what's about to come, because it's the funniest thing that she's ever seen in her life. I run across the ring. I jump. I end up Yokozuna earthquake banzai right on top of Ryan Boz's face, his nose into my asshole, and Ian hits the floor. He's watching, he's on the floor. Prazak's on the floor. Patty's in tears at the ticket table because and Brian Boz is like, what the fuck? You just broke my nose. Because I somehow ended up bonsai dropping earthquake splashing his face when I go for an elbow drop.
Yeah.
Don't even come close to an elbow landing anywhere because my ass just goes straight in. And so I told Shaq, hey, buddy, I did it even worse than you. So don't be so hard.
Fair enough.
But all that to say, Shaq Daddy, great guy, love him to death. He's just being a professional wrestler was just not what he was meant to be. But otherwise, great guy, love him to death.
I heard stories, or I heard stories. There's been interviews with Thumbtack Jack. Do you remember Thumbtack Jack? There was a situation with him and Ian, King of the Death 09.
Yes.
Were you witness to that? He's no cool. He's no good.
I don't think I was witness.
Something about throwing John Calvin in the oven or some shit.
James Christopher.
Oh God. Gee, that's man. Okay.
Right. So yeah, James Christopher. Yeah. No, 4 years old, fresh off all these heart surgeries, and Thumbtack Jack was living on Ian Rotten's couch. He'd come over and was doing all these shows, living on Ian Rotten's couch. So James Christopher would want to hang out with him, because Ian would be in the fucking bedroom all damn day long and never come out of the bedroom. And so the only person he had to interact with was Thumbtack Jack, and Thumbtack Jack's trying to sleep on the couch, and James Christopher is bugging him while he's trying to sleep, and he makes a remark about throwing him in an oven. And he's a German guy making a joke about putting somebody in an oven. So, fuck that piece of shit. And he's lucky that I wasn't the one that heard him fucking say it, because he would have ended up in a fucking oven, and I'd have put him there myself. So fuck that motherfucker. If he's still alive, I don't even know if he's still alive.
He is alive.
Okay, so he's still alive? Fuck you, you motherfucker. And if I ever see you, know that I will fuck you up. And if I ever see you, know that you better hope I don't have a vehicle. You better hope I don't have a baseball bat. You better hope that I don't recognize your fucking ass, because I'd fucking kill you for making a comment like that about James Christopher. Whether he was 3 years old, whether he's now like 20 years old. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And to every goddamn fan that got pissed off that Ian Rotten got pissed off that he fucking said that. Fuck you. Because if somebody said that about your kid, you'd be fucking pissed off too. So fuck him. And that
I'm sorry for bringing that up. I didn't mean
that. You can leave in the podcast.
Okay. Why did what happened with Billy Gunn becoming such a prevalent part of IWA? Like, where was that connection made? He was all over 5 IWA shows.
I don't know really how the connection got made. Probably through Road Dogg, because Road Dogg had come in and done a few shows, and then Billy became available. So Ian probably went through Road Dogg to get Billy. If I don't know for sure, but here's
cool.
Here's why he kept coming back.
Yeah,
because he was cool.
Yeah.
You asked who was I disappointed in? Well, who was I blown away by? I was blown away by Billy Gunn. I was not a big Billy Gunn fan. I didn't think that he was a great wrestler. Thought like he was definitely a name. He was definitely like, compared to what we had, he was a draw, and he was a name. So I was okay with bringing him in. But then he came in and he was super cool. We brought him in and he did a show in my hometown, Morris. There's only like 1-2 hotels in Morris. That's it. It's a small town, especially 20 years ago. There was, I think there was 2 hotels in town, and they did not have a room ready until 3:00 in the afternoon. And I had picked him up from the airport at like 8:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And he was just fine with coming back to my house and hanging out at my house in Morris.
And he's fresh off of WWE.
Fresh off WWE.
Yeah.
And my dad was in a wheelchair.
Oh, shit.
And so he, for whatever reason, where my dad chose to stay when he was healthy and able to be out of bed, he would sit at his wheelchair in the kitchen and he would watch TV in the kitchen. There was like a 20-inch TV on top of a little microwave cart. So there was a microwave, and on top of it, there was the TV. And he'd sit at the kitchen table all day, as long as he could, in his wheelchair, and he would watch TV in the kitchen. I was at the University of Kentucky, 8 hours away. So my grandmother moved in to take care of my father, who was in a wheelchair. So she put a recliner in the kitchen so she could be next to my dad and be at his beck and call and do whatever was needed.
Yeah.
My dad passed away 10 years before this show, but my grandmother kept that recliner in the kitchen and stayed in the kitchen because that was where my dad was.
Yeah, I got you.
So when I moved back in 2004, I put a recliner next to her recliner in the kitchen so I could be next to her when I was home. And
that's awesome.
So we had 2 recliners. We had 2 recliners in the kitchen at my house. Probably the only house in the United States or anywhere that had 2 recliners in the kitchen. But that's to say that I get Billy Gunn to my house. I introduce him to my grandmother. He sits in the recliner next to my grandma, and he watches Judge Judy, Springer, Maury.
All the early morning, afternoon
watches
shit.
TV with my grandma, side by side in the recliner all day.
Hell yeah.
And every single time that he came in after that, the first question he would ask when he would see me, how's Granny? How's Granny? Tell Granny I said hello. And I'll be like, absolutely. And, you know, we would sing Neil Diamond songs on the radio as we would drive to the towns. And we would just chit chat, and he was just the coolest. He would answer any question I had. I'd ask him, stuff about, WWF and what he really thought of this person, what he really thought of that person, and he would chat with me, and he was just cool. And then at the end of the show, he'd tear down the ring, and I don't, you'd have the big pieces of like 8 foot, two pieces of 8 foot plywood. It was probably like 8 foot by 4 foot, and it had a hinge, and so you'd have to like flip it over and then fold it, and it would be 2 giant boards, and it would always take at least 2, sometimes 3 people at the end of the show to pick this board up. Usually, if you had two decently strong guys, they'd just be able to, one on each end, carry it out to the U-Haul, the trailer, whatever we had, and get it out of the building. Billy Gunn would pick that damn thing up himself and throw it over his shoulder and walk out the fucking building doing what 3 people or 2 or 3 people would have to do. He'd fucking, one person would struggle trying to carry the fucking ring post out. That motherfucker would have a ring post under each arm and just sling it over his shoulder and take 2 ring posts out. We got out of buildings super quick when he was there because he helped. And he was the only name that ever just helped. Didn't have to be asked, just did it.
That's cool.
That's why he kept getting booked.
The one time my dad worked on WWF TV, he was recently out of USWA, and he had only been in the business 2 years, and he was working Smoking Guns, him and Vic the Bruiser, and he's telling Billy and Bart, "Hey man, I just got off TV. Could you please not? I don't take it easy on me. I don't need to get beat in this shit." And the whole match was them just beating the shit out of my dad, getting all their shit in, because he was the dumb rookie that had to fucking be like, "Hey man, I was on TV in Memphis." Cause he learned his shit. Billy's, that's hell yeah.
Do you have any questions about your dad to me in this?
Do you have any stories about my dad from you?
I think I've told you this one. The only Crusher Bones story I really have, sadly, is the first night we met him. And I'm pretty sure I told you the story shortly after we started talking on Twitter and I realized that he was your dad. So I'll tell it to the rest of the world. You've heard it. So just grin and bear it. And the rest of the world can hear this. So Crusher Bones was on a Lexington show. And Les Johns, Ben Rich, they've both been guests on the show, me. We meet him for the first time. And God bless him. He was a good hand in the ring. I'm not going to say anything about him that way.
I want you to tell exactly your opinion. I don't fucking filter shit, Jim. It's cool.
So
tell your story.
He was dressed like, what was the Mortal Kombat people in WCW? Not Glacier. Chris Canyon. Mortis.
Yeah, but he worked with Canyon in Memphis. He worked with fucking did loops with Canyon and all that shit.
But to me, the second I saw him, I thought he was dressed like Mortis.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought he was dressed as Mortis. And I'm like,
the mask and shit. Yeah.
I was like, what is Mortis doing on this show? I don't remember Mortis being booked. And he comes
wearing all that shit before Canyon ever became Mortis. He's wearing all that shit.
That's
my conspiracy theory is that Chris Canyon took some Mortis shit from Crusher Bones. Nobody else believes it but me. But let me just put that out there. But go ahead. He definitely looked like Mortis. You don't have to explain it. I get it. I get it.
There was more than one occasion when we were doing stuff in Charlestown. There was more than one occasion where there was stuff that I was doing in the superheroes and that the superheroes were doing. And then OVW is right down the road, and we're competing with them. And OVW, had the feeder system to WWF, and then all of a sudden WWF has a similar character or does a similar thing that we just did the 2 weeks before. So I get it. Canyon, I'll tell you right now, Canyon definitely stole the Mortis look from Crusher Bones, because he ain't here to say that he didn't. But anyway, this guy looks like fucking Mortis, and we're like, what the hell is this? And and this was like after he had worked, so we had just saw his match, and he did something in his match. To this day, I don't know what the fuck it was supposed to be. Me, Ben Rich, and Les Johns, we called it a butterfly kiss. He did this fucking thing in the ring where he like put his hands at his side, and I'm too fucking fat to even fit it all in one thing. But he's like in the ring, and he's got his hands out, and he's just going.
Yes.
Before he did this thing, and we're like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yes, that's Crusher Bones, man.
So he does this butterfly.
Moondog Cujo, man. He's riding a high, bro.
Well, that might explain why he was dressed as Mortis, doing some kind of butterfly kiss thing that made no fucking sense. And then he looks us dead in the face in the locker room in IWA, and he goes, "The Undertaker stole my gimmick." And we're like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Nothing you did in the ring resembled anything that The Undertaker does. You don't look like The Undertaker. You look like Mortis. Tell us Mortis stole your fucking gimmick. How are you going to tell us that The Undertaker stole your fucking gimmick? So I hate
so many fucking things like that from so many people.
So I regret to tell you that from that day forward, I thought your father was a goof.
He was, man. He was. He was a good goof. He was a good bro. He was a goof, but he was a good dude. He's all right.
Okay. I don't want to besmirch the name of your father. I don't know anything about him other than that. I think that was
when you saw him.
I think that was my only interaction really with him, because after that I didn't want to interact with him. But it just, to this day, it will always stick in my head. The Undertaker stole his gimmick.
Chris Canyon, The Undertaker, all that shit.
Yep, all of it.
Undertaker.
All of it.
Man, he was not wrestling when The Undertaker.
I could not tell you the number of times I saw The Undertaker go in the ring. Couldn't tell you.
That's how man. I mean, without that, who would have ever ran with them? Man, that was all Crusher Bones. He created that shit before he even started wrestling. That's how influential my dad was. I love that my dad was a fucking goofy indie guy. I take so much pride in that, and that he had his little run-ins with everybody. I don't take any offense to any of that sort of shit. I love stories like that. A random person, IWA fan Donna. Any memories of her? She was at every show. Past when you were gone, she was there when I was going. She had a special reserve seat just for her.
Donna and Old Man Charlie were a tandem in my era. I don't know if you ever got
the pipe guy.
No. Crazy Pipe Guy was his own entity. There was a crotchety old bastard called Old Man Charlie. And Donna would take him to every show, and they were a tandem, and they'd sit in the same seats every single week. They were there before me. Charlie died, while I was still there. But then Donna was still there. Donna was still there after I left.
2020, whenever she died, she was still going to all the shows.
Those are the kind of fans that you need.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of fans that you need. Those are the kind of fans that keep you in business, that come out every single week. And, I didn't interact a ton with her. And most of my interactions with her was me giving her shit because I was a heel. And, but she she was a great fan. She was a great fan, loved her. And like I say, every promotion needs 100 Donnas. They need 100 Old Man Charlies.
Oh
They
shit!
need
Yeah. Oh
100.
my god, that's
They
what's
need
missing. Yeah.
they need 100 Home Depot Mikes. They need 100 Hawaiian shirt guys. They need 100 crazy pipe guys. They need those people. They need the Sean and Amandas. They need the people that are there all the time. They need the Rich Waynes. They need the people that they can count on and know that no matter what, we've got those 25, we've got those 50. We can make a go of it, and we know that we can survive. All we have to do is put a ring in a building, and we'll have those people, and we can survive. You need
And all those names, and or not the names necessarily, but the faces of all those fans are so like iconic. If you're gonna watch any IWA show, you're gonna see that
right.
same group.
You see the same fans in the same seats every show, and that's what you need. You need that. You just need a whole hell of a lot more than that than what we had in order to really succeed. We had 10. You need 100.
Do you have any memories of Z-Bar in IWA? I know they had the deal where Ricky Gordon and the dog food deal, and the fans abandoned the seats
Yes.
when he came
up. So here is my Z-Bar story, and we've been.
He passed away recently.
I think I remember hearing that he passed, but here's
a couple years ago.
Here's what I remember from Z-Bar. He drove in Devin Moore and somebody else one weekend, and it was like a double shot, maybe a triple shot. Drives in to the show. I could not stand Z-Bar. I thought he was one of the worst wrestlers I'd ever seen in my entire life. So that's why I would tell the crowd, go to the concession stand. I don't even want you to see this match because it might make you decide not to come back. Yeah. And you know, if you're still listening to this podcast, you can tell I've got some strong opinions about people, and I don't care if it hurts their feelings. I told you at the beginning of this, Brent Blades rightfully called me the most opinionated man in the world because I've got opinions on everything, and I don't shy away from, and it hurts me. It hurts me that, because people don't like me because of it, but I did not like Z-Bar. I thought he was the drizzling shits. He did not belong. He did not belong in an IWA ring. He was not good enough. Okay. And he might have been a great guy. I have no idea. Personally, nothing against the guy because I didn't know him personally. Yeah, but when it came to a show, he sucked. And he didn't belong in an IWA ring. He wasn't good enough. And I didn't want him in an IWA ring. But my vote didn't matter. And I didn't, but yet my money was going towards it, and I didn't want it to. So, Ian Rotten, all he needed was, if it was funny to him, he was going to do it. Well, if it was funny to me, I was going to do it. And it was funny to me to tell everybody to get the fuck up and go to the concession stand, spend money, buy something because you don't want to watch this. Z-Bar got so mad. He got so mad. He left Ian Rotten's house. He walked to the airport.
It wasn't a house. It didn't have a house at this point.
I think it was a house. It was like a house that they were.
Been clear to me because I hear you talking about that trailer, and I didn't know how long
he lived in the trailer. He lived in the trailer for quite a while.
Yeah.
He wasn't making his payments on the trailer or the lot, so they kicked him out of the trailer park. He ended up renting a house, I think, under a fan named Phyllis. I think her name was used in order to get this. He rented a house that was over by Churchill Downs in Louisville.
Okay.
And had a house. And that's where he ended up with his, starting to cheat on Patty with his flea bag, fucking worthless fucking whore, shitbag bitch that he's with now. And that wanted to pretend like she was Patty's best friend, and wanted to throw herself at every fucking wrestler in the locker room. And she was so fat, ugly, and disgusting that the only one that would fuck her was that low life Ian Rotten.
Ian Rotten.
So at this house, I think that was where this happened. Z-Bar leaves the house, walks to the airport, buys himself a last second, super expensive airplane ticket to fly back to Philadelphia because he couldn't bear to have me shit on him again the next night at the show. And he just told Devin Moore and whoever it was that was with Devin Moore on the show, could have been Joker or somebody, drive my car back to me. And people might think that might make me feel sad. No, I take great pride in the fact that I was such a miserable prick to that motherfucker that he walked to the airport, bought a last second airplane ticket, and flew himself home and never came back. I saved the IWA fans from having to watch that fucker wrestle. And may he rest in peace. He might have been the greatest human being on the face of the earth. Again, I don't know, but he sucked as a wrestler.
For yourself, yeah. Did you remember any interactions with DJ Hyde, who became very controversial and well known after your time in wrestling?
So I have one interaction that I remember with DJ Hyde, and I had mentioned earlier about how much I hated taking Mickey to Philadelphia for Chikara. So there was a Chikara show. I'm sitting ringside. It's well before the show starts. Mickey's milling about, like everybody's rolling around in the ring, doing their little working out, doing whatever. I'm just sitting in the front row, and DJ Hyde comes walking in. I'm not sure if he's booked on the show. He probably was. I can't remember.
Yeah, he was doing Chikara back then,
So yeah, I'm guessing he had to have been booked, or else why would he have been? Well, I wasn't booked, and I was there, but I'm assuming he was booked. He walks in, and he's walking around, and he's looking at everybody, and he looks at him, shakes their hand, looks at him, shakes their hand, he's shook about 50 hands. And then he gets in front of me, and he looks at me, and he just walks away.
Oh.
And he didn't shake my hand. And Nikki came over to me, and she was like, why didn't you shake his hand? And I was like, he didn't shake my hand. She was like, well, you didn't offer your hand. And I'm like, I was here before he was. He's the one that's supposed to come up and shake my hand. I don't know him from Adam. Why am I going to shake his hand? And she's like, well, you should have shook his hand. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, what if Ian brings him in? And I said, he from here? She goes, what do you mean, is he from here? I said, does he live like here? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, how the fuck's he going to get to an IWA show? She's like, well, maybe Ian will fly him in. And I was like, who the fuck do you think pays for that? And she goes, you? And I go, and you think I'm going to pay for his airplane ticket? If he just made a point to snub me in front of everybody? And she was like, I guess not. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So I don't know if he ever came in and did IWA after that point. While I was still around, I don't know.
Yeah, but at the end, he worked a few shows.
There was, I can guarantee you that it was not because I put any money towards an airplane ticket, and I did not put any money towards a hotel, and I did not put any money towards anything after that. If he did come in, but that was my only interaction with DJ Hyde.
What happened to the building in Clarksville in 2003? Why did they lose that building, or what was the situation there, if you remember?
Not paying rent.
Okay, it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
just that simple. He didn't, you know, run up as much debt as humanly possible, and it was
That was like part of a
always.
warehouse or something, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, it was a big warehouse thing, and I mean, it was a great building. It was a great building. We put a lot of time, effort, and money into making the two dressing rooms and really
yeah.
building it up. And it was a great place, but he was not paying rent and making so they kicked us out. Just that simple.
When they had the two dressing rooms, Simon Says was getting booked, and they had him in a separate, like the hole, like the little hole and the little closet deal.
Yeah, it was a closet.
Any memories of that Simon Says situation in 2003? I think it was.
It was because of me,
Oh, you're okay. Fuck him. Put him in there.
right?
Okay, I got you.
I wouldn't let him in. It was me and Mitch Page, and we were the only ones in the heel dressing room, and we wouldn't let him in there. And he wasn't a baby face, so he couldn't be in the baby face, so he had to be in that.
Gotcha. All right.
I didn't want him on the shows, and I wasn't going to share a locker room.
All right. What did you think of Dysfunction? I know he was getting the shit beat out of him by Ian when he first came in there. Did you any
Um,
what did you think about him?
Along the lines of Brandon Prophet kind of thing, he
Okay.
was a. I remember he like befriended Nick Manawa and was like real good friends with Nick Manawa at the time, and Manawa's my little brother, and so he was cool to Manawa, so I was fine with him. He was perfectly cool to me. I never had any issues with him. He was a guy that came in, busted his ass, tried real hard, was willing to do anything, did anything that he was asked to do. Uh, he legitimately lost the light heavyweight title. He was like the light heavyweight champion and somehow lost the belt somewhere, like misplaced it, lost it, got it stolen, something. So then we no longer had a light heavyweight belt at that point,
Okay.
kind of thing. But other than that, I was fine with him. I mean, he wasn't upper echelon, I don't think. But you need the guys that you need the Mark Wolfs that are the next. Not everybody can be Dusty Rhodes. Not everybody can be Magnum TA. You
Yeah.
need you need the
Sam
solid.
Houston.
You need the Sam Houston, Ronnie Garvin, Jimmy Valiant. You need those guys too, and because you got to have somebody else for the heels to beat up and to beat before they get to the top baby. And so Dysfunction was like that. He was a great hand to have around. If he didn't live in Milwaukee and need so much trans money to get down, he would have been on more shows, and he probably would have gone ahead and come down for. He probably wasn't making shit anyway, and would have done.
Yeah.
But he would have been used a lot more if he was closer. He was a good little hand.
Were there any masked wrestlers who struck you as particularly ugly or attractive without the mask? Were you like, why the fuck are you wearing a mask? Or please keep that on? Or anybody ugly as fuck or pretty as fuck that you remember?
Um, I mean, they wear the mask all the time.
It's a dumb
They,
question.
they wear the mask all the time. What makes you think I've ever seen anybody without the mask on? No, I've grown to love him a lot. I've grown to love him a lot. He's been a big help to me since I started the podcast, and he was like the first one to reach out and offer suggestions and to help. But by God, American Kickboxer never should have lost the mask. He should have kept the mask on. Love you, Frank. And I'm just half teasing you with that one, but you should have kept the mask. Um,
What did you think about Steve Carino? I know he came in a few times. You seem like somebody who would have an opinion on Steve Carino, one way or the other.
um, I was perfectly fine with him when he came in. I never had any issues with him. Um, didn't really watch his work.
Yeah,
What
you
I
were so deep in IWA at that point when he
what
was.
I
on
because
top.
I literally never watched anything from from like 1999 to 2009. If it didn't happen in an IWA ring, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And half the shit in IWA, I didn't watch, just because I was in the back going over stuff. And then at the end, there's stuff people are like, what did you think of this? And I'm like, did that even happen? And they'd be like, well, you were on commentary. And I'm like, I have no memory of it, kind of thing. So there's nothing that sticks out to me that I specifically remember about Steve Corino, and I've never saw anything that he did outside of IWA, but he's got a solid reputation, and the people liked. I know the people that I respected their opinion. They liked having him on the shows when he was in, and the people that he worked liked it. So I'm sure I would have been great with it. And I know I keep saying how I have opinions on everything, but my opinion on Carino was that the people that had to work him were fine with it. So
Yeah,
I'm going to defer to them and say that he was pretty good because they thought he was pretty good, but
gotcha.
I didn't really watch any of it or have memories of it. To
You talked in another podcast about how Chris Candido would have the picture of Tammy in the bed next to him if she wasn't there with
Yes,
him. Do you obviously he fucking loved her. Do you think she loved him in anywhere near the same level? Like, do you think it was a
definitely not the
mutual?
same level. Definitely not the
Yeah,
same. No, there's no way in hell. With what I know about her and the stories that I've heard about her, there's no way in hell that she loved him anywhere near as much as he loved her.
yeah,
Um, she hung the moon and stars in his world, and it's, hey, 1996, I would have done anything to have been in the position that Chris Candido was in relations to being was. I could not get home fast enough on a Friday for her latest downloads on AOL, or her latest picture set on AOL to be ready to be looked at. And, so I get why he was so head over
yeah,
heels in love with her. But yes, he loved her with every ounce and fiber of his being. The second he would get off the plane, he would call and tell her that he made it.
yeah,
The second he would be out of the ring after his match, he would call her to say that he was fine. And like say, he had the picture that he would put next to him in the hotel room so that she could be with him even when she wasn't. And he loved her to death.
yeah,
And it's sad that she, maybe at one point she did, but um, I think definitely once she became a star, she definitely did not love him anywhere near the way that he loved her.
yeah. All right. What with the to bring up somebody you hate just very briefly, or however briefly possible, the Danny Daniels AAW shit. Did you know that there was some shit coming, or was that like a blindsided kind of deal, or
No clue whatsoever, completely blindsided.
yeah,
And um, I remember, I it might have been Heron, Illinois. That might have been the show. There was some show that I was running, and Ian was not there. He was off at another show. I was running the show, and um, Prazak, Danny Daniels, Brad Bradley came to me after the show and announced that they were quitting IWA. And they kept telling me that they were sorry that they were doing it to me, and that I didn't deserve to be the one that had to deal with it, but that they were quitting. I was blindsided by that. Prazak had been given so much control over booking and actually was getting, he got the kind of stuff that I wanted. I wanted to be able to have that kind of input onto the shows, and Ian would never give it to me and would make a point of it to emphasize that I was below him. And then he gave all of it to Prazak.
Yeah.
And and then Prazak quits and goes and starts Shimmer after basically having 1 or 2 years of a trial run doing it on our shows, on our dime, and seeing that it would work or could possibly work, and then going and doing it. And then Danny Daniels went and started his deal, and Brad went along with him. And I don't blame anybody ever now for quitting IWA. Now I don't blame anybody. At the time, I was pissed. I'll tell you right now, I was pissed.
Well, yeah.
And I was pissed that they did it to me. I'm not the guy that they had the problem with, and they picked a show that he wasn't at and did it to me. And so I held grudges just for that part of it, that you would do it to me instead of be a man, do it to the person that you're mad at.
Yeah.
Okay. For starters. I've long since forgiven Prazak, but there for a while, I will admit, there for a long time, I was jealous that Prazak got a position in IWA that I thought should have been me. And then for him to then quit on me instead of Ian, I didn't like that. And so I held a grudge on it, but I've long since forgiven him. Long since forgiven Brad. Brad, should have quit when Ian was there instead of me. But other than that, I have no beef with Brad Bradley. The man never did anything to me other than that one night. The other guy, as I said, what I still to this day think was my best performance came with this guy. I had always had a strong opinion that I needed to not be friends with the guys. I was office. I needed to be able to be the one to say, that guy sucks. He doesn't belong in the ring. We can't use him. And if I'm friends with you, I can't say that. My opinion's going to be clouded. So I tried to never get to be friends with anybody except for a very few people. Mark, Mitch. Those were really those were the ones that I hung out with outside the ring and allowed myself to be friends with. And then Danny Daniels became one of those. We exchanged Christmas gifts. I almost started going to other shows and managing Danny Daniels. Like, we were that tight. And at least I thought we were that tight, and I thought we were a great team. And I was heartbroken when he went to Ian and said he wanted to turn babyface and not to have to rely on me. And he told me after, he was like, this is nothing to do with you. I love being with you, but in order for me to grow, in order for me to improve, in order for me to get to where I want to be, I need to be a baby face and I need to do it on my own. And I was like, okay, I understand that. And he was like, but I want you to manage me in other places. And I said, Daddy, I'm not breaking kayfabe. If we're feuding here, I can't manage you somewhere else. We're broken up. We're broken up. And
yeah,
and it hurt me because I had enjoyed working and I thought we were a great team. So then when he did what he did with the title, like that's that was the worst thing that he could have done to me, and I will never forgive him for that ever. No matter what, anything can happen. You know, he's never tried to reach out to me. I wouldn't accept it. I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
accept
yeah.
it. I would just block it if even if he did. But you know, there will never be anything that will make me forgive him for what he did, ever. Period. And
Gotcha.
and I talked to Chucky Smooth, and you know
Yeah, he's been
Chucky
working up there.
Chucky
He's
was
been wrestling for him lately. Yeah.
yeah. So Chucky was like one of the first ones I reached out to when I decided I wanted to maybe try getting back into doing things,
Yeah.
and Chucky was like, I mean, I'll call and see if he'll bring you in, and I'm like, no, Chucky, ain't happening. I was like, ain't happening. I was like, there's only one way that I will ever step foot in a building that they are, you know, for a show that they are running, and that would be to go in there and pick him up and put him in a fucking trash can, and then I will walk out of the building and leave. That will be the only thing that I will ever do if I was to do anything on one of their shows. And Chucky, after about the second time of me having to tell Chucky that, he was like, "Well, I'll let you know if I can think of any other groups that you could reach out to." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, please do." But that one ain't happening.
Any memories of the Peter Be Beautiful beating? Did you have any interactions with Peter, Mr. Peter, that day?
I I didn't have. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, my headphone just made a weird noise. I was like, "Oh God, don't tell me it died out on me." So with Peter Be Beautiful, I remember that was one where it's like, what the fuck, Ian? Why in the hell are you beating the shit out of this guy? Um, I can't even remember what the cause was according to the mind of Ian Rotten. Like what I can't remember what the grave sin was that this guy committed that you know made him deserve. Like I don't know if it was something he didn't sell or if it was Ian being who Ian is, didn't like the being a little homophobic towards the gimmick or something. I can't even remember. Just realize, noticing it was one of those. This is going way too far. Why is this happening? This serves. This is no good is going to come of this. Um,
But you
but
didn't like you didn't did you know that it was coming? Did you know
I
that
did
was
not. I did not know it was coming. I didn't. Like I say, I didn't know it was coming. I don't know why it came.
all
But
right?
I
Fair
know
enough. That's all right.
it
Sorry
was
about it.
one of those it was one of those things where a lot of things that it should not have happened. And Peter B. Beautiful like sent me a friend request at one point.
He's
So
been
he's like,
wrestling the whole time. Yeah, he's still around.
he just like so he's he I think it was Facebook that I got the friend request on there, and I see he's like written a book. I hope it's selling well. I don't
Uh,
know, but
all
I
right.
didn't have an issue with the guy, and
Yeah, it was just a thing that happened. Okay, gotcha. What did you think of Ricochet when you first saw Ricochet? Did you think there's any chance this guy's ever gonna be a goddamn thing at all?
I did not think he had any chance of being a goddamn thing because he was 110 pounds soaking wet when I met
Crazy.
him. But to say that, he was also doing the most amazing shit that I'd ever seen at that point.
Okay, so you were like, okay, this kid, he's cool. He's
So
cool
he
for
was.
that.
I,
All right.
I was blown away by him. And that double moonsault that he would break out, holy fucking shit! It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. Here's a little story about Ricochet. Not about Ricochet, but it involves whatever.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, go.
My wife and I get married in Las Vegas. It's a Star Wars wedding. Elvis sang to us. Elvis put on a stormtrooper helmet so he fit in with the Darth Vader being the minister. And time of my life. Love Star Wars. Love my wife. Put those two things together. Great time. Say that to say my wife's friends. Um, 3 friends had went out to Vegas to be at the wedding, and their wedding gift to us was to take us to a Cirque du Soleil show. Two of her friends were a husband and wife, and then there was a third person. Third person sat with us. The husband and wife had better seats. They were down closer in this little theater. But it was their gift to us was to take us to the Cirque du Soleil. To say that I was a asshole and a prick would be an understatement at this event because I was bored to tears. There was not one thing that I saw at the Cirque du Soleil that even remotely entertained me. 3 different times I opened up my phone and was scrolling like Twitter or whatever, and the usher had to come up and tell me to turn off my phone and that recording was not allowed. And I told the usher, I wouldn't record this if you paid me. I'm looking at my phone because I don't want to see what they're doing. And the grand finale was every single cast member ran up this like fire pole thing and they climbed it like a monkey. And I will admit, the first one that did it, I was like, that was kind of cool. But then like 20 other people did it right after him. And they all just went bloop, 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 and they all did it. And they were like, how are you not impressed by what you saw tonight? And I said, there's a guy that wrestles for us called Ricochet, and I've watched him do better shit than every single one of them did. And the most impressive thing that they fucking did the whole night, they then ruined by having every single person do it because now it's not special. Now I think everybody can do it. Now I think I could go down there and fucking do it because I just watched it get done 25 times in 3 seconds. It's like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And so like I am not those people's favorite person in the world, and I don't blame them for that. But you know, again, I was in the entertainment business. Granted, it was Z-bar level entertainment business, Z-list celebrity, but I'd seen better stuff. Everything that I'd seen in IWA was better than what I was watching at that show. And then the one time they impressed me, if everybody can do it, it's not special. They should have just had the one guy do it. And that's the theory of how I look at professional wrestling a lot of the times. If you've got 57 chair shots on the show, you've got nothing. Because that 57th chair shot just made, it's not special anymore. Okay, so everybody can take a chair shot. It doesn't, make it mean something. Make it mean something. That's the problem. That's the problem with the wrestling business.
Do you have any recollection of there was a show in 2007 that Big Vision Entertainment filmed, a deathmatch show that was never released. Do you know what the situation that caused that to be shelved permanently, or?
So answer me one question before I say anything else.
Yeah.
You said Big Vision Entertainment. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that the company that the porn guy owned?
No,
That
that
did
was no, you're thinking of the Rob Black stuff. No, no. Big Vision, they released a lot of random wrestling DVDs and shit. They put out the Wrestling Society X DVD, which is how I fucking the bonus features on that had IWA shit. That's the first time I was 11 years old. That's when I was first seeing full IWA matches. It was on that fucking DVD, but that has nothing to do with anything. But do you know the show that
so
I'm
it's not
talking about?
it wasn't the guy so it
No,
wasn't
it's
the
not.
guy
No, no, it's not.
it
No,
wasn't
no,
the
no.
guy that did like the stuff out in
Oh, no,
California, the
you're
XPW.
thinking of. I think it was Kevin Kleinrock had a part.
Yes.
Yes,
Was he the one
he was
involved
not
in
the
this?
porn guy, but he had a role in XPW. He was not.
Okay, but was he in this Big Vision? Did he have
Yeah,
anything?
yeah, yes, yeah. He had something to do with that. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what happened. Um, Kevin Kleinrock wanted to do this deal, and they wanted to do this DVD, and they were going to put it in all of the like truck
Best
stops.
Buy. Yeah.
You go into like a truck stop, a Pilot, Flying J, whatever, and they'd have the bin of DVDs. And one time I went into one, and they had a picture of Ian and Axel Rotten on the DVD. I bought it, got it home, and it was actually the Nasty Boys that were in the match. Um, but anyway, they wanted to like tape this show with all their special effects and big time cameras and all this other stuff, and they were gonna like sell it everywhere, and it was gonna be this great thing. Um, but you said that this was like what the Wrestling Society X and stuff was involved with too. Same company.
Yeah. Kleinrock, I think, was a part of
Okay,
Wrestling
so and
Society
you
X.
said
They released all their shit through the Big Vision Entertainment
right.
Company.
Okay, so and you said they had put like IWA stuff on it.
Yeah, and the bonus features of
In
that
the
of
bonus
that
features.
DVD.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Kleinrock gives Ian Rotten the Big Vision Entertainment FedEx number or UPS number, whatever it was, so that Ian could send him this footage that they can then use to put on the as the bonus
Yeah.
feature for whatever. Um, so no problem. Well, at that time, there was this group of fans, like in Germany, I think it was, and they had like bought all these IWA tapes and
Uh,
DVDs. They like some guy like had organized like all these fans in Germany, gave him money and put this order through, and so it was like for everybody in Germany buying like it was like this huge order,
yeah, yeah, okay.
huge
Through
order.
Smart Mark or through
No, through
Big
Ian
Vision?
directly. No,
Oh, through the okay,
through
okay, okay,
Ian.
okay.
They had
Yeah.
made this big, and Ian never sent him this shit. And so, like, this was like a year, maybe even 2 years that these people had waited and constantly, oh, Patty's forgot to do this. Patty forgot to do that.
Patty.
Oh, we sent in and it just never got there. Oh my God. Well, you're gonna have to wait for us to try to make all this stuff back and be able to make up all these, excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. Part of the issue was, one, he had burnt through all the fucking money. So
Yeah.
he didn't want to send that. He wanted to try to sell that stuff on the shows that we were doing now and to have merch at the shows. So he just never sent him the stuff. And it was affecting DVD sales because these people were on the internet going, we still have not gotten our shit in like
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nobody was ordering anything because
Yeah.
they were like, oh shit, we're not going to, why would we order from you if we know we're not going to get our shit? So Ian Rotten, in his infinite wisdom, is like, well, I've got Klein Rock Entertainment's FedEx number. He's not going to notice that I've made this huge shipment to Germany or wherever the fuck. And I've got all these other shit that I need to send out, that tape orders that people have been waiting on. I'm just going to send this all out on his dime because I've got his number. And the bill, like, they come and they film the show, and after they filmed the show, the bill shows up, and Klein Rock's like, what the fuck? I didn't send what the fuck is all this? I didn't send that. And he starts asking around and like finds out Ian Rotten had sent out like every DVD tape that was owed to somebody ended up getting sent out on his dime via, FedEx or whatever. And I don't know what it ended up running up to, but at that point, then Klein Rock was like, fuck you. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing business with you because you're a fuck, And so here's this tape that, the footage has never been released. I know a couple of, that's a question that a couple of people have asked me to address. So they'll be happy to hear that.
That was like, because it's such an amazing looking card that just never saw the light of day, whatever.
Yes. I remember nothing about the actual show itself, but I know that, he fucking sent out, like, God only knows what the charge ended up being for all that, because sending shit to Europe is not cheap. And when it's that massive of it, I mean, it was probably 40, 50, like, tapes, DVDs. I mean, it was maybe even more than that. It was
fuck your stuff over the long run. Just there's no sense in that shit, man. That's
save a few bucks now to not have
fuck yourself in the ass later with the chainsaw.
So,
what was your first impressions of Chris Hero when he came into IWA? He had a very, I mean, he was Chris Hero. Nobody else looked like Chris Hero, and he had a reputation for having the pants and the shirt. But he was Chris fucking Hero. But how long did it take for you to see the light in him?
Right away.
Okay, okay.
Right away, and I'll say this: I just made a post on Twitter today. I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday, where the Elliot Wrestling or whatever his name is. Don't know who the guy is, but I like a lot of his.
Me neither, but
I like a lot of his opinions. Some of his opinions I don't agree with, but a lot of them he likes. And he was, the whole shit. It's always the same arguments all the time, and you got the brain dead WWF fans that believe whatever a WWF documentary tells them to believe, and believes their narrative and whatever. So like somebody was arguing trying to tell him that Triple H was the greatest of all time or some shit. And
very recently.
What the fuck ever it was. And I replied to it and I said, at no point in time have I ever based my opinion on whether I liked the show or whether I've liked the match on what color was the ring ropes, what color was the canvas, what color was the apron, how was the lighting. I just ranted 15 times that the greatest performance I ever made was on Dark Mark Video. I don't care that the lighting sucked. Well, I care that the lighting sucked, but it doesn't take away what I thought of the match.
So you saw through whatever his look was at that point.
Kind of thing, I don't care. I don't care what your gear looks like. I don't care if you're great at what you do, you're great at what you do. The rest of the shit, I don't care. It's bells and whistles. I don't care. It might take great to a greater level but it doesn't make great horrible. You know, I don't care about the bells and whistles. And Chris Hero was great in the ring. And, you know, the only issue with Chris Hero, love him, and it's going to sound funny, the fact that I've been talking for like 12 hours right now and really haven't gotten through anything. But Chris Hero matches were too long.
Yeah, you know? yeah.
They were too long. And that was the only thing that can be said about it is, you know, sometimes less is more. And I should I should take my own advice and not have a 28-hour long podcast. But, you know, I am who I am. Chris Hero is who he is. You know, yes, I would be better if I was not so long-winded and not so opinionated. And Chris Hero would be better if his 55-minute match was 30.
But then you wouldn't be Jim Fannin. Chris Hero
wouldn't be me. Chris Hero would not be Chris Hero. People, you know, I hated even when I was little, I hated because I would hear the bullshit of, you know, Dusty Rhodes doesn't, you know, he's fat, he sucks. Well, goddamn it, Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair could get in the ring and entertain the fuck out of me for 1 hour.
Yeah, who gives a fuck? Yeah.
You know, I don't give a fuck that he's overweight. I don't need everybody to be a cookie cutter, look the same. You know, and the fact that people fucking would shit on Hero because, oh, his gear sucks, or, oh, he should be 50 pounds lighter. Well, he can fucking work circles around you. Okay? So fuck off. And the fact that he was great at what he did, he was great at what he did. You know,
me asking the question was not intended to be disparaging towards Chris Hero.
Right. I know that
nobody looked like him at that point. He had a very he was Chris Hero. There's no other way to describe it.
But he was great at what he did, and I will put him over. He was great. Hated managing him, but he was great at what he did. Okay. And the reason I hated managing him was simply because I felt like I was just a statue out there. Because, you know, he didn't want to.
Yeah, he's telling all the story himself.
You know, there wasn't, with everything that he had in the match, there wasn't stuff for me to do. And the fans liked him. I'm a heel, you know, so it was fine in the superheroes. But then once we both turned babyface, it obviously wasn't working. And that's why Nadia took over for me, because it wasn't working, because there was no point. I'm too fucking ugly to stand out there and people just look at me. Nadia Nice, she had 2 reasons for people to want to look at her stand ringside. And, you know, but not me. So it didn't make sense for me to be with him as a babyface, so we cut our losses. But he was outstanding at what he did. And Hero versus Punk, 2 out of 3 falls, 93-minute, me and Prazak on commentary. One of the greatest performances that I've ever seen.
Both of you knew it was going to be 93. You knew they would go the whole way beforehand, or did you? Or
oh yeah,
you were aware of that.
Oh yeah, okay. yeah. We knew that they were. We knew they were doing the Sean Brett overtime sudden death kind of thing.
Actually good, but a good match.
But a good, you know, and people can say, you know, and I just said Chris Hero match has gone too long, but that one it fit. It made sense in that, you know, like I said earlier, once okay, when it's every match is super long, then, you know, that's not a great thing.
Okay, this is a very goofy question. What's the process of like getting all the tables and shit for a show? Like I know the Kmart building, you said that, you know, that may or may not have just been borrowed and used or whatever, but right. Like on like a Charlestown show, like where would you get the tables?
A lot of times it's going to a Staples or a Office Depot or Office Max at the time. I think out of all those, I think Staples is the only thing that still exists. But they would have the tables, and we'd buy them.
Yeah, how much money was spent on the tables as opposed
Tables,
to?
it was like $60 a table, I think.
So
It was
nobody
expensive.
the budget was spent on the gimmicks, the
A
tables and
lot of
stuff,
it.
right?
Those gimmicks are
Yeah,
expensive as shit. It got
yeah,
it
yeah. I know. Yeah,
it got to the point where like a lot of times, um, if you broke a table and the leg was semi usable, Mullet Man Danny would take the legs off, and then we would like a door like a Home Depot Mike would find defected doors and stuff at Home Depot that would come in on the pallet that'd be a little banged up and dinged up. And so then we would get a door and we'd screw the good table
yeah.
legs into a
God
door and
damn, man.
you've got a table. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, a little bit of how the sausage is made on that, but it was expensive shit. And so you had to try to salvage any parts that you could out of things and find creative ways. Sometimes it was, if it wasn't doors, then it was some of the wood that would come into Home Depot that got mangled and was a little scratched up in transit to the store. Then Mike Miller would mark it down and oh, here's a defect, here you go, and you take it. So
Gotcha. So, okay, we went from 73 questions. I was at 72. You suggested 73. There is 21 left, Mr.
good
Fannin,
lord.
and breeze through them any way you like. Um, the first of this, let me just pick a random one. Dave Taylor, 2008 TPI. He had some bad stories coming out of that, but did you have any positive interactions with him, or do you remember that at all, or were you even
2008, I
there?
don't remember. If you'd have
Yeah,
asked me, did David Taylor ever work IWA? I'd have said I don't think so.
I
Um,
got you.
so
We
so
no say no more. I got you. Honky Tonk Man what was it like working with him at that huge school show?
Loved it, absolutely loved it. Um, he didn't know me from anybody, so he was like very nervous,
Yeah, yeah, just
apprehensive,
trying to
maybe.
play it safe with you.
There was a lot of times when we were in the back and Mitch would be like, well, let's do this, and it would like involve me, and Honky would go, are you sure? And Mitch is like, he's got this, trust me, he's got this. And um you know Honky came out, did his deal. I cut like some kind of a promo. I forget exactly what, but I cut a promo. And I remember Honky looked at Mitch Ryder and said, he's good. Whatever we want to do, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
And so then we were cool at that point. And I mean, I get it. These legends, they're afraid that somebody's going to try to take advantage of them and make a name off of them. And I'm sure it's probably happened to some of them. And so there was a lot of times where like somebody would come in and they'd be, I don't know this guy, what, and then they'd be like, okay, and not just with me, but with anybody on the IWA roster. There was times where some names would come in and they'd be a little like, I don't know what to expect, and then by the end they'd be like, wow, I'd love that. Let's do it again sometime, kind of deal. And Honky Tonk was that way, so I loved it. I loved it. That was my era. That was my jam. So I loved getting probably he was the name, so he had to be the babyface Honky Tonk. I don't know how that really works,
We need the guitar when he hits
kind
the
of
motherfucker
deal.
with the
But
guitar.
but it would have it was fun. I liked it, and he was cool. No complaints about Honky.
Okay, are there any, you don't have to name names, this is a sensitive subject, but it just in your mind, is there any, when I say a wrestler who had especially poor hygiene, do you think of anybody in your head? Like was there straight shit streaks on the mat? Like Who was dirt? Who is a dirty motherfucker?
I think, and I don't want to.
Or what did they do? What
Well,
made them dirty?
Mitch talked
Without
about Corporal's gloves being
the
disgusting.
MMA
Uh,
okay.
I don't have personal experience to say that, but Mitch said that Corporal's gloves were disgusting. There was a couple of times that, if memory serves correctly, I think there was a couple of times that the guys would get on Hero at the early Chris Hero. They would get on Hero a little bit about maybe his gear not being
Gotcha.
because he would like work so many shows,
Oh yeah,
kind of deal, and be out there so long, and then like the second day, like if it was a double shot, and he's thrown his sweaty gear that he just wrestled 45 minutes, 55 minutes in, and he throws it in his bag, and then opens up the bag the next in, and like you'd leave the bag sit there overnight. You're back the next day. Why drag? Just leave the bag there, and then you open it up the next day, and like, woo! That was
knocks your
what was
eyebrows
that?
off.
What was that kind of thing? So like stuff like that would happen, and it wouldn't just be Hero. It'd be the other guys too. Like anybody that would like leave their bag, just the gear bag in the locker room on those double shots where we were like King of the Death, Ted Petty,
Yeah,
in
all
the
right.
same
Yeah,
building kind of deal. Like those were those. I didn't really spend like
you
I
weren't
did.
smelling
I
people's gear.
wasn't.
You weren't
I wasn't in the locker room unless I had to
inhaling
be, kind of
fumes,
thing.
breathing everything in, getting a good scent thing.
So
That
there,
wasn't you.
there's a lot of the things that I missed out on because I wasn't in the locker room when it happened, kind of deal. And if I was in the locker room, I would be in a different place. So there's a lot of things I missed out
Yeah,
on,
I hear you. You don't
kind of
got.
deal.
I hear
But that
exactly what you're
was
saying.
any time there was somebody that they got on for stinking, it was always because it was night 2, night 3, night 4 of some of those long weekends that we would do.
You talked. I remember hearing a story about a very mean story about Bad Boy Hito on a podcast of you fuck Corp, you fuck whatever, something like that. Do you have
Yeah.
any other Bad Boy Hito stories from that time period where he was in
Um.
IWA?
Okay. Yeah. So without repeating Chucky's, I think it was Chucky
Yeah,
Smooth told
yeah.
the story about Hito getting on Bikini Girl, um, because of the rumor, like Corporal spreading the rumors that he fucked her. The other big Hito story that I remember is they were all getting high one night at Ian's trailer,
Like
and
weed or whatever the
weed.
fuck.
It was always weed, or at least as
Okay,
far as I
okay.
know. As far as I know, it was always weed.
I just
Like I
I
say,
didn't know. I didn't know.
I didn't partake in any of it, but as far as I
Here,
know, it was. As
yeah,
far
yeah. I
as I
got you.
knew, it was weed. Anyway,
Yeah.
they're all in Ian's bedroom, getting high, and they tell Hito something about like Necro thought that Hito's wife was a better worker than him, and
Oh, and
that
he's
and
married to
that
fucking Kudo Megumi Kudo. What's her fucking goddamn name?
I have no idea. I don't know what she looks like, but they were like, "Oh, Necro says she's better than you, and that he thinks she's hot," and they kept doing it, and Hito just kept getting pissed off and pissed off and pissed off,
Yeah,
and
Megumi Kudo. She was a better worker. You want to look her between you and me. They were right.
okay, but they were obvious, they were just
Yeah,
fucking
no, I
with
get
him,
you. Okay, but how did Hito react?
they were working him up,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Of course.
the next show Hito was wrestling Necro, and I remember I'm sitting in the office, because like there was the locker room, but then there was like an office, and me and Ian would be in the office most of the time.
Yeah.
So Necro goes to the ring, Hito goes to the ring, and Necro or Corporal and Ian and me are in the office. And Corporal looks to Ian and he goes, "Hey, boss, did you ever tell Hito that we were just fucking with him?" And Ian goes, "No. Did you tell him that we were fucking with him?" And Corporal's like, "No." And then you just hear loud explosions. And we look out, and Hito is beating the dog shit out of Necro. and they were like, "Nope, we forgot to tell him." And Hito and Necro like beat the shit out of each other in that match. And it was because Hito thought that Necro wanted to pick that up. He thought that Necro wanted to fuck his wife and thought that she was like so much better than him.
His wife, no? You seen Megumi?
I have not seen her. I not seen.
Bro, she was doing the explosion death matches in FMW. She was one of the girls, fucking going through all. Yeah, she was a badass lady. He probably heard that a lot.
Okay, well, he evidently didn't like hearing it. He evidently did not like hearing it about.
Oh yeah, he heard that a lot. I bet he heard that a lot.
They were fighting in that match.
Oh yeah.
So that's the memory I always carry from Hito.
You've talked about how Ian's dad was living with him. What the fuck did what did he think about all the shit that Ian was involved with, or that was he like, fuck yeah, let's go, hell yeah, wrestling, or like
he was a huge wrestling fan. He was like who got Ian into being a wrestling fan. He was a huge wrestling fan. He was not really smartened up to the business even after Ian was in it. So I remember Ian would always tell the story that like his first match, his dad chased Ian's opponent around the building.
Was that when he was Johnny Stonewall Lawler?
I don't know what his gimmick was that night, but his like one of his very first matches, his dad chased his opponent around the building, pissed off because he had like did something to Ian, like maybe dumped a trash can over his head or something, and Ian's dad got super pissed off and was like chasing around the building trying to beat his ass. And I do know that everybody called him Pops. Pops, I told the story on one of the podcasts about the sleeping with Sherry Martel, that trip where it was the carny guy that ended up going to jail for all the bad checks. And on
Wisconsin?
In Wisconsin. And on that, Fabulous Moolah was on that.
Yeah. Great story.
And Pops would have been a rat for Moolah at the drop of a hat. He was hanging from her titties that whole weekend. He was all over her. And she was like playing it up and calling him darling, and he was in heaven.
I think Moolah. Do you think Moolah is gay?
I have no idea. I was
kind of guessing.
She was pretty good at flirting with Pops. Okay, she was pretty good at flirting with him, but I mean, I have no idea. I know nothing happened that weekend, but she did a good job flirting with Pops, and she had him wrapped around her finger. And on that trip, I didn't want to go swimming in the pool one of the days because I am not a good swimmer. I don't even float all that well. I try to float and do like the layout and float, and my big giant ass pulls me under. And so like I don't like it. I'll stand in water that comes up to about under my boobs. I'll stand in about that much water, but I don't want to go any beyond that. And so Pops was giving me shit that I wasn't going into the pool. So Ian just picked him up and threw him into the pool. And he's like, he's like splashing around, and he's like, Johnny, help me, I'm drowning. And Ian wouldn't go in and save him, and he's like, old man, stand the fuck up, it's 3 feet of water. And so then his dad stands up and he gets out of the pool, and he's like, why the fuck did you do that? And he's like, don't fuck with Jim. If Jim doesn't want to swim, Jim doesn't swim. You don't get to fuck with him. And he's like, well, why did you throw me in the pool? And he's like, well, you obviously wanted to go for a swim. And he's like, I can't swim. And he's like, then don't get on somebody else. And he's like, why are you so upset? And he's like, these are my only clothes. What the fuck am I going to wear? And Ian looked at him and said, you came with me on a 3-day trip and you did not bring a change of clothes? So Pops was a piece of work.
It seems like Ian loved to like build up people in moments, and then just so he could break them
down. Tear them down later.
Yeah, yep. Yeah.
He was a master at that.
That wasn't a question. That was an observation.
Yeah, one last quick Pop story.
Hell yeah! How long has he been gone? Do you have any idea?
I don't know when he passed away. I know he moved back to Florida in like 2001, 2002. He moved back.
Okay. He was gone.
Florida.
He left. Okay, gotcha.
And he ended up passing away at some point. I forget when, but he had moved out, and then I moved into the apartment that he had. I took over his apartment when he moved back to Florida. But the last Pops, before he had moved back to Florida, Pondo was getting everybody onto the Springer Show. He gets Pops. He gets Pops onto the Springer Show. And Pops
was on there?
He was on there. He was. Do you ever remember the Talk Soup? I think it was like it ended up being called The Soup, but it was hosted by Johnny.
I saw it later. I don't know it back then, but I saw it later
on. At the time, it was still called Talk Soup before it was just The Soup. And at the end of every show, they would have a clip of the week, and it'd be the most outrageous clip from like all the TV shows that week. Pops made the clip of the week on Talk Soup, and he's on the Springer Show, and he's with the lady that worked in the concession stand. I think her name was Vonda.
In Charlestown?
Yeah, in Charlestown, like Kmart building, Charlestown. She was with us for a long time.
Okay, cool, gotcha. Long time.
And her name was like Vonda. She was married to Mullet Security Roger. John Gray, referee John Gray, is like married.
Shit, man. Yeah, he's married. Around for it.
He's married to her daughter.
All right, hell yeah. Get in where you fit in.
So, like she's on the show as like Pops' wife, and then there's like some hot young chick, that's on the show that Pops is having an affair with on the concession stand, Vonda. And so Vonda's like, oh man, you can't get it up anymore. What the fuck can you do for her? And Pops rips his teeth out and he goes, I can gum the fuck out that shit. And that was the Talk Soup clip of the week. Pops pulling out his teeth and saying that he could gum the shit out of that 20-year-old's pussy that Pondo had set up on the Springer Show. So Pops was a piece of work.
Ian was never on Springer, was he? They never.
I don't think Ian did one.
That would be well known.
Pondo had asked me.
Yeah, I've seen Pondo's. I've seen all of Pondo's shit. Yeah.
Pondo asked me once if I wanted to do it,
for anybody who wants to check.
And I said, I can't do that because my grandma watches, and it would be too much for her. I was like, she watches that show, she can't see me on there.
You could have put a wig on, or
no, and I regret it. I should have done something like that, because then Pondo's done so much to help people that who knows what I could have ended up getting into if I'd have done that and been friendlier with Pondo at the time. It could have led to some great
Did you
stuff.
ever think about maybe if you were cooler? This is not a question that I had written down, but you talked about being cool with Pondo. You ever think maybe if you were like nicer to the clowns and ICP, maybe you could have gotten a couple bookings out of that, uh, getting dragged into the Bloody Mania shit or whatever?
I mean, I probably could have.
You just did not. It's so repulsive to you. It was not enough.
Like, I mean, I don't like that music.
Well, yeah, but
And
fuck that. Do you
I
think Tracy
don't.
Smothers like that music?
Well, it's one of the things that yeah, I if I could go back and tell the younger me, I'd say, go for this shit.
Okay, and
Try,
that's
try
that.
to do
Yeah,
it.
and I understand that. I just didn't know if you. Yeah.
But back then, if you can't tell with my opinions, once I make an opinion, I stick to it, and I'm gung ho with it. I wanted nothing to do with that kind of.
You're respectable
I
for
want
that.
like Ian would come back and tell me shit that was going on at like the gatherings and stuff, and I'd be like, you could not pay me to be around that because I would kill
But
somebody.
man, you could have got so much fucking heat. You saw how Tracy was getting that shit. You could have got just as
Oh,
much shit. You would have been a god there.
I would have caused a fucking
Christ,
riot. They would have, and it's one of those million regrets that I have, kind of, just to
manage
nothing.
fat, get fat fuck barrel boy to come out, man.
Anybody that's listening to this, and if you're still with us, God bless you. But take this one word of advice from me. Do do shit that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. Take chances. The worst when you get to be almost 50 and you're looking back, you don't want to say what might have been. What if? It'll eat you alive. It will eat at you. It will take years off your life. Take the chance. The worst that can fucking happen is you get told no. The worst that can fucking happen is you fail. Who cares? But at least you then know. At the end, it wouldn't have happened. Because to sit back and to look back on shit now and be like, what would have happened if I done this? Could this have happened if I did that? How would things be different if I'd have done that? Not to say that I'm not.
It's a waste of time. You did what you did, and it was cool as fuck what you accomplished. It's a waste of time. Like no use in that shit.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's
you
nice to
can't help but
reminisce,
do it.
think of what if, but don't dwell on it.
Yeah, it's hard to do though. It's hard to not do it.
Yeah, of course.
So don't make the mistakes that I made. Play the game, take the chances, and see it through. If it's what you want to do, don't let fear of being told no. Don't let fear of rejection. Don't sit there and think that the other big thing, one of the things that I regret is, in my head, I always said, well, if they want me, they'll ask.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Put your shit out there, ask. Like, maybe not as pathetically as I've been doing with the please, please, please.
Nah, man.
But whatever, they're not going to come to you. You need to go to them and contact them and be like, hey, here's my stuff. Can you use me? Because they're not gonna come to you. And that's like free advice to you. Take it or leave it.
Take it. Fucking like, man, like you have plenty of advice that should be listened to in any young wrestlers. I hope that there is a group of young wrestlers, hopefully, or young workers or people that grew up and admired and listened and watched IWA who remember you and want to hear your opinion because you have so many stories that nobody else can tell, such a unique outlook. You dealt with one of the most obviously controversial fucking whatever figures in wrestling for so long. Nobody has the point of view that you do. And you should
And
feel proud of that.
every time Dark Side of the Ring posts like who should we have in the next season, every fucking time I'm like, my God, this is what you need to do, and they never pick it.
Make a whole season out of it. Okay, to move on from sadder stuff. Actually, this might be sad. He's passed away. I don't know if you have any memories of him. Danny Havoc was a regular fixture towards the end of your time period in the IWA. He was very beloved by very many people.
Yeah,
I don't know if you interacted with him at all.
I did not really have interactions with him. Yeah, that was the time frame that I didn't.
Yeah, you're
I didn't interact with anybody. If I wasn't like Dingo was about the only person I interacted with because I was managing him. Like the last couple of years, it was, I would if Manawa was at the show, I'd like hang out with him, and I would just really not interact with anybody unless they came and personally sought me out. There was no interactions really with people, and Danny Havoc was another one that he would do anything that was asked. He would bust his ass, and he wasn't getting paid a lot of money, but he would. He wanted the experience. He wanted the exposure. He was, as far as I knew, he was a great kid, and his story is pretty tragic from what I understand. One of the saddest stories I've ever heard from what I understand with how things went.
Yeah.
And so, it's one of those heartbreaking to think of and whatever, but I wish with as many great things as I've heard said about him as a person.
Oh yeah.
I
never
wish
a bad thing ever said about that guy.
I wish that I had some interactions with him, but nothing but respect for the work that he did and what he did in an IWA ring. But I just unfortunately can't add more than that.
Okay, this is kind of a bullshit random question that I threw in. Like Ian was a 8-9 time IWA champion, but then in 2000 he just stops putting the belt on himself. Do you know why did he finally realize that, hey, I don't need to be the fucking top guy? Like, what was it?
Well, here's the thing. In 12 trillion things that you can say bad about the man.
Yeah.
The amount of times that he held the IWA Mid-South title, not one of them that you can really say.
Yeah.
He held it a lot of times, yes, but it was all, like you said, early. One of the things that people would ask me, they're like, why are you and Ian the main feud for so long? Well, who could
always there?
Who could me and Ian Rotten rely on to see the story through? Yep. Us. Yep. If we started a story with somebody else, Ring of Honor would take them.
Yep.
TNA would take them. CZW would take them. And they're wrestling on, in towns that have millions of people. We're in an area that has thousands.
Yeah.
And so we could. Some of those groups had millionaire money backers. We had a guy that had an inheritance from his mom and dad dying when he was young, and another guy that would waste it all at a fucking boat because he never saw, he actually believed Kenny Rogers that every hand's a winner. Well, the other part of that was every hand's a fucking loser too, and because of that, we had no money. Oh, hey, I'm up $200. Well, that's not $1,000, so I'm going to leave here tonight down $2,000 instead of up $200 because I'm a fucking idiot. But whatever.
Gotcha.
We couldn't compete with that, so those wrestlers not to say they weren't reliable, but you know, you can't have the main stories around the people that are not going to be there.
Of course.
So you were stuck. You were stuck with me trying to get control of the company from Ian Rotten because one, that was legitimately what was happening behind the scenes, and we put it in front of the people, and you were stuck with it. And I apologize for that. But I knew I wasn't going anywhere. Ian tried to go other places, but he knew that he was, for the most part, going to be there. Beyond that, we had no idea who was going to be there a month from now. So Ian would be the champion because that was who we could rely on. And then once we had the Chris Heroes and the CM Punks and the other guys that, hey, these are good guys and they're around, we'll start letting them carry the title and, you know, whatever. Then he went away from having to be the champion, but, you know, we were still the main feud with each other because we were the ones that were there every week. So we were the ones that we could count on being there to tell. And we knew the story we wanted to tell. So that was what the people were stuck with. And I'm sorry. This wraps up another edition of Fannin's Flashbacks. I would like to thank Trippin' Balls for joining me on this episode. You have one more of these to sit through, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you so much for hanging in there so far. I know I can be a lot to take at one time, so I hope you have one more week in you. Next week's final installment of this AMA is much shorter, I promise. Please go check out Tripping Ball's YouTube page, Crusher Bones Forever. Subscribe to his page and then head over to mine at youtube.com/sportsfannin and do the same. Watch my IWA clips and matches and these podcasts. Click like on some videos, leave some comments. Let's boost up the numbers on our pages, please. Also give the other podcasts in the BNMVS network a listen if you haven't already. Reed Bentley, Nick Manawa, and Mike Ruff have some great stuff on here for you to listen to. If you are interested in vintage IWA Mid-South t-shirts, give my godson James Christopher a follow on Twitter at Candido24K_. And if you are looking to have some design work done for yourself, shoot James Christopher a DM. If you are watching or listening to this as soon as it's available, you still have time to join Girl Fight Wrestling for their big return show in New Albany, Indiana, this Sunday, February the 15th. It is going to be the commentary debut for the lovely, talented, funny, die-hard wrestling fan, Jess B's Knees, as she teams up in the booth with the equally talented Just Jay. This podcast is the official sponsor of Jess's commentary debut, and I couldn't be prouder of her. Keep your eyes open for the release date on IWTV for this huge show, and then shower Jess B's Knees in the love and affection that she will so richly deserve. You can follow me on Twitter at jfannin73 and on Instagram at IWAfannin73. And as I've posted everywhere online, I am making a comeback in 2026. I have a bucket list of items that I didn't get to do before I left wrestling in 2009, so I'm trying to cross a few of those off the list. I want to manage Mickey Knuckles. I want to manage John Wayne Murdoch and Reed Bentley. I want to do commentary with Nick Manawa, Tripping Balls, and maybe even one last time with Dave Prazak. So if you want to help me accomplish any of those goals on your show, you can email me at bookjimfannin@gmail.com. And if you don't, well, at least book those other awesome people I mentioned, even without me. And with that, we'll see you next time on the next episode of Fannin's Flashbacks with the conclusion of this Ask Me Anything marathon. So let it be written, so let it be done. Good day.